Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody for coming today. Because it is a small group, I'm just going to kind of throw this out there. Is there anything specific that you wanted to learn today to make sure that I kind of cover it? That's good. Okay. So we are going to be doing, I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay. So just a little background on Benjamin Moore. We were founded in 1883 by the Benjamin Moore brothers. And we started in Brooklyn. And we have now branched out into all over the United States, Canada, and we're actually doing international now also. You know, where we started with just dealing with independent retailers. And we still do that to this day. It's actually in the core of our company. We will not sell to big box stores. Everybody that has a Benjamin Moore store is one of your neighbors. They own the individual stores. So what does that bring to you? What kind of benefit? The knowledge. Because they want to make you happy. So they've got a lot of paint knowledge in there that can help you with any of the projects that you're working on. So what are we actually going to be looking at today? We're going to be looking at why paint matters. Okay. We're going to be looking at our color trends for 2023, the gloss and finish styles, which generally actually confuse a lot of people, and then paint tips and tools, kind of fun things that you can play with on your computer, on your cell phones, believe it or not, and how to use our website to help you put things together. So I'm going to ask this, why do you paint? Okay, how many of you are painting lately? How many of you actually have picked up a paintbrush in your life and painted? Okay, we're making progress. Why did you do that? Okay, a refresh, yes, for appearance, for aesthetics. Anybody work in the commercial industry, in hotels, hospitalities, warehouses? There, we're actually looking for protection or even safety. You know, think about your handicap blue lines. You know, you're bringing color and product together to make areas safer. So there's a couple of different reasons. So let me ask now, when you're doing your refresh in your house, what influences you on the colors that you're going to be choosing?
My wife.
Yeah. And you better just say, that's beautiful, honey. How do you choose your colors?
Just what I like.
What you like. Okay, is that what's in for that time frame? Like, okay, I'm liking blue this year.
I don't like brown.
There we go.
Anything but that.
I always said I would make a horrible interior designer because I'm very particular about colors. But ironically, if you're looking to paint, aren't you going to look at that space and say, what's staying in this room? Are the fabrics staying in the room? You know, are you going to be, this is the mistake I made. Okay. When I said to you, I painted my living room and I didn't like it. Like, I just don't like it. That's because I went and put navy and white drapes up, navy and white pillows, and the color doesn't work with it at all. You know, so where are your influences coming from? You know, and ironically, paint should be the last thing. If you're changing a space, paint should be the last thing you choose. We have 3,500 colors. When you get into fabrics, you're coming down to this. You can, but that's kind of making it more difficult. You can custom make a color, but you're still picking that color after you've chosen something else. So, you know, you're looking at paint being pretty much an inexpensive way to change the space, but you need to look at what's staying, right? What is your flooring? Is it rug? Is it hardwood? What are your window treatments? Believe it or not, what does the next room over look like? Because really what we're looking at when you come into somebody's home, you want to look at flow. How is that house laid out? Some of them are wide open floor plans these days. Some of them are the old colonials. You come into an entryway, living room, dining room. And as you or your guests look through the space, your eyes want to gently move over everything. So other people tend to look at trends. Most people in the design community are looking at trends, or they're looking at color forecasts. Where do we see each other in color in 3 to 5 years from now? Now, as a homeowner, you're really not thinking about what are we going to be doing in 3 to 5 years. You're going to be doing what you like now in your space. Okay, so what you choose is not wrong. But when you see trends, you're going to see that colors that are going to come into everything, not just in paint, but you may see them in your fabrics. You may see them in your clothing. Gosh knows the fashion industry is one of those places that you see the colors changing basically quarterly as the seasons change. And they're usually in the forefront of where color is going to be going. So when we get to Benjamin Moore's color trends for 2023, we have to take a look and go, well, how does a paint company do that? Well, we do have a group of women in our color department that spend the year. So like we're already done with the colors for 2024. Okay, that's already done and coming into fruition to presentation mode. That'll be introduced in the fall. But they're spending that time traveling, going to the shows. During COVID, everything was being done online. You know, what are you seeing online? But the car industry, okay, ironically, let's think about that. They need to know 3 to 5 years in advance because they're only giving you 5 colors to choose from, and they have to start manufacturing. So they look to those that do general forecasting. When we get to the trends for paint, they're looking at what are we seeing? What's the influence? So was it bringing the outdoors in when we were stuck inside? Were we seeing, you know, we came out of the grays for how long? And now we're all stuck inside with gray walls and we need to do something. We need to put some color back in the space. And what you're seeing then is where we went from those cool grays to grayish into bringing some of those warmer tones back in. And now we stepped our foot in going a little bold. Because as you can see, the color of the year for 2023 was raspberry blush. And you're going, really? Ironically, when I've done this presentation for a lot of the designers, they're like, oh, I know exactly where I can use that. Oh, that'll look great in a beach house. You know, when you start to see how it gets used, because a lot of times you look at color and you bypass it because you're like, I can't envision this, cannot see it. So as we move forward, you know, we're going to see how some of these colors get put together. Here's the palette. Oops. Here's the palette that is paired with it. Everybody received the 2023 color card. You'll see the full palette in there, and you're looking and going, those are bold. Those are really a saturated step out of the box. Wow. You know, beautiful. Where am I going to use them? How does it work? Well, most of what you're seeing here was being pulled from a lot of modern art that they were seeing. They were bold colors in nature. I mean, think of spring when you're planting all of those beautiful, rich toned flowers, the deep reds, deep purples, yellows, golds, okay? And bringing, again, the outside in. And then you're going to see the neutrals at the bottom that you can pair with them. So you have, sorry, we're plugged in here and here. So when you start looking at this picture, you see North Sea green, okay? And an alternative to hunter greens that might have been used back in the early 2000s when we did a lot of greens and reds. Okay, so you're bringing this beautiful North Sea green in. And you also have the traditional, where's my color? Savannah green over here. Now a color to look on its own and you're like, But you see the monochromatic way that they've put it together. Moving to a lighter color in the palette, we've got conch shell. And I want this is a really great place to actually show you lighting at the same point, because if you look up in the corner, you see how the lighting is affecting the way that color is appearing. So many of you, we were actually talking earlier, we're talking about, oh, use that color here and it looks different in one room. It looks beige, it looks gray. Always, this leads me to tell you and explain to you why it's so important to check color in the space before you apply it to the walls. Okay, because everything surrounding it is going to affect the way it appears. And then we have cinnamon is over here. Now, that's a really beautiful color. If you actually take a look at it, it's not a deep, rich red. It just adds, it's not a brown. So it adds kind of like that really nice neutral color to a space, but it gives you a lot of saturation to it, a lot of boldness to it that you wouldn't, maybe you're not used to doing. Do you remember? How many of you remember when the reds were hot? Waverly Reds and those beautiful, big, huge flowers that was in everybody's house back in the 90s, I guess that was. Yeah. Here we're showing raspberry blush. It looks very different, right? In the way you can view it. This is why it's so much fun. And actually, you can go onto Benjamin Moore's website and you can pull up rooms and you can actually put colors on the walls and just sort of to get an idea of what you're looking at and how that color is going to work. We're also going to find, I'm going to show you a tool that you can load onto your phone and hold it up on the wall and change the color of the wall right in front of you. That's always fun too. But what's my biggest thing about computers and how we look at color? It's just a starting point, right? Because you take a screen and that color is going to change as you move your screen. So it's just a starting point if you're not used to the way you're seeing it. Nor are you going to see the difference between white, white dove, simply white, decorator's white. You're not going to see the difference on a computer screen between all of those colors. On the right, you're going to see Wenge. You don't like brown, but this is actually a beautiful, beautiful neutral. You know, when we looked at neutrals, what color, if I say neutral, what color comes to your mind? Beige. Do you ever look at green as being a neutral? No? Look outside. Green, brown, everything is surrounded by grass, green leaves on trees, brown bark, brown dirt. You know, we think beige, but a really good neutral, and especially if you're neutral. Natural neutral, though. You can do that. I guess we look at that as a slightly softer alternative to black. Okay, a really nice neutral, though, that is going to pair well with a lot of different colors, especially like if you're hanging art on the walls, depending upon what that background is. Colors like that, if you're hanging a lot of pictures, are going to make them pop. You know, keep that in mind. And when you're painting, is the paint your canvas to design off of, or is the paint your wow factor? Now, here's a fun one. Starry Night Blue. Radiant Navy. A little over the edge? What do you think? You like it? See, it's interesting. You would not look at that color, I'm sure, in a fan deck and say, I want to do that. But when you see it, it really can make a statement to a space. What I want you also to realize is they did it in a gloss. Okay, have any of you worked with, you know, semi-gloss or high gloss on your walls? Yes? Where did you do that? And how did it turn out? Do you know if you... Is it? Is it? Mm-hmm. It can be, yeah. What are some of the flaws with doing such a high gloss on the walls? Yeah. Yeah, that's when you start talking, you know, especially when I'm talking to my designers and architects that want to make that type of statement in a space. when you're building something or you want to try and do this, we're going to tell you you need to probably skim coat your walls to a level 5 so that everything is nice and even. And when you put that gloss on the wall, it's going to make everything pop so beautifully. Like it's flawless. But that's really cool, a game room in that color. See, you're ahead of the curve here on these trends. On the right is New Age, and it kind of appears both gray and lavender. So it's on the softer side of that palette. So as you can see, there's ways to utilize those colors, and it may not be that you paint your walls in those colors, but maybe those grab you. And it's something you see in a fabric here that you want to have pillows done or put into your drapes. Say, like, I want to pull this type of color in. So when you look at trends, it's always a really good way of just getting new ideas and sort of stepping out of your comfort zone sometimes. Because, sometimes trying to get people off linen white through everything can be a little difficult. But we try. We try. But you're not just set on those colors. Those are just your trends. Benjamin Moore offers you 3,500 colors. Okay? Each collection has a unique characteristic that serves a purpose. So we look at the Affinity collection, which some lucky person on their drawings will be winning the full set of these fans to take home and, make your head explode while you look at color. But the Affinity collection is 144 harmonious colors. For that person who's really not sure how to put color together, they're all kind of a little bit more muted, kind of all in the same color value, and you can't go wrong. You can look at these colors, pick 3, and they're all going to work together regardless. You may not like them when you look at them, but they all work together. The Classic collection, our tried and true collection, came out in 1987. This collection was done by Ken Charbonneau handpicked every one of these colors. Okay, what you're going to note, they're a little bit more muted, a little grayer in tone, but are very, very popular amongst the design community and the residential sector because they work. In 2000, we introduced the Color Preview collection. Now, what do you all see as the difference?
Vibrant.
Cleaner, brighter, more vibrant set of colors, a little bit more muted, grayer in tone. So depending upon what you're trying to do, may depend on which fan deck you kind of lean towards. Color Stories collection. This is a full spectrum line of color. And what does that mean? Well, when you look at any of these colors in here, I'll use linen white as an example. Linen white, to make it, uses orange, yellow, and gray into a white base. That gets you linen white. If I said to you, you are not allowed to use gray colorant or black colorant, does anyone know? Think back to 3rd grade art class, how you get gray. You mix opposites on the color wheel together. If you mix them together, you get like a brown gray. So when we look at color stories, without using gray or black, instead of using 3 and 4 colorants, it's using 6 and 7. And when you look at these colors, I like to say they dance in the light. Because if you really want to see colors that change through the day and what it's paired with, it's Color Stories. They're beautiful colors. But they're only available in Aura, or interior Aura line. And now we are introducing them to be made in our interior Regal line. They cannot be used outside. Okay. Our historical color collection, Red Bank, right now, they use our historical collection. These are colors that are accepted through any of the areas that have historical buildings. We also have the Colonial Williamsburg collection. Again, that was archived by Colonial Williamsburg itself. They actually have an archive of the colors that were used down there. It's very interesting to see. And they have their own color line also that we actually license. The Off-White collection, 152 whites and off-whites. right? Enough to confuse anybody on what color white am I supposed to use? Williamsburg, we talked about. So color resources, this is always the fun part because when you're starting a project and you really want to kind of see how's it going to come together, well, we all have a cell phone, right? Have we all found the Play Store on our cell phones? Whether it be an iPhone or an Android? With that, you can download in the Play Store, go to Benjamin Moore, and you can download the Color Portfolio app. And if it would just accept my password, which has to be 9,000 letters for security at Benjamin Moore, you can play with it. It's a red triangle. It says Color Portfolio app. And what does this app actually do? A couple different things. One, it allows you to use the video visualizer. So we're standing in a space, and I click on the video visualizer. Excuse my hand because I got to figure out how to see it. Does everyone see the wall? Okay. You can pick a color and you can, if it would, why am I so, there we go. Wall. See the wall go red? Now, what stops it? You see these lines? It will stop at natural breaks. So if you try to do the exterior of your house and you have shingles, that gets a little difficult. That's where you might want to go to the photo visualizer, where you can use your camera, take a picture, and then colorize it. It also gives you the opportunity to look at all the colors. You can pick whatever collection you want. You can pick what colors you want to choose, and you can colorize. So this is one way of doing it when you're on the go, right? You also have Benjamin Moore's online website, which I can't get to from in there right now for you. But what's important about that is, let's say you are looking to do the exterior of your home. Does everyone know what the exterior of their home is made of? What's your siding? Wood? Old, but is it wood? Is it vinyl? It's vinyl. Does anybody have AZAC? AZAC is a new engineered lumber type of product. You have AZAC on your deck. Okay. One of the things you should always look at as new substrates, as I would call them, come out, is the technical data sheets on if they can be painted. And if so, what are some of the drawbacks? So AZAC, for one, you can't use colors that have a light reflectance value less than like a 57. So what is light reflectance value, Diana? You're talking in acronyms and crazy terms. How much light is reflected or absorbed off a substrate? Same with your clothing. You're wearing black, you're wearing white. Who's going to get hotter first? He is, because the sun, it's absorbing the sunlight, where the white's reflecting it. So same with vinyl. You can only use vinyl safe colors. I mean, when I started with Benjamin Moore, the rule of thumb was you never painted vinyl darker than the original color. Because when the sun hits it, what happens to it? It heats up and it warps. Yeah, could be a problem. But the other thing too is the colors that you choose. And how do you find out if the colors you choose are actually good for exterior? Go to the Benjamin Moore website. In the search bar, type in your color. 318 is a great color. It's a yellow. And as you scroll down, it will say not recommended for exterior use. Okay, why? It's yellow. It happens to have colorants that are not going to fare well outside. You know, there's other colors that are going to do better that you could find, probably similar colors that would do better. So you just want to pay attention, and it's really good resource to just check what you're doing. White. We all love white. Whites can be a little challenging because it's like, what color do I do my trim? All right, you have understanding warm whites versus cool whites. Okay, Simply White, Cloud White, Arcadia White. Those are warmer whites. So if you're dealing with warmer colors, does everyone remember the color wheel? Half of it's warm, half of it's cool. So based on the colors that you're choosing, you may want to pair it with whites that are going to work with it. So maybe you're looking for a cool white, which would be like that distant gray or decorator's white, white wisp. So you have your brighter to your softer whites. Neutral. Here we go back to neutrals again. Finding that good neutral. You can look at things like ballet white, edgecomb gray, shaker beige. I mean, I haven't seen shaker beige used in a while. That was back during probably 2002, 2003, 4, 5. You saw a lot of shaker beige being used. But again, it's still a great neutral. Cool neutrals would be Horizon, Alaskan Husky, Stonington Gray. We did the physical color tools, which you have your Fandex. You walk into a Benjamin Moore store, you have a wall of color chips. One of the things, this is the worst way to pick a color. Because everything above and below it is going to affect the way you see it. So when you do it, you're going to wind up going like this. Now you're looking at the size of a quarter, and there's no way in your brain that you can take and look at it on a whole room, right? Best way to test your color. You have a piece of foam core board. Do not put it on your wall. Anyone know why you don't put it on your wall? Go ahead. You can't move it. And if you have a color on your wall, it may affect the way you see it. Like I went into a house for a designer probably, I don't know, it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they had definitely had the early 2000s reds, greens in their house. Now all of a sudden they want to go to grays. So they're putting grays over the red walls. Are you seeing the gray correctly? Not really, no. So you put it on a piece of foam core board and you move it around the space. You put it up against what's staying. Hold it up against your floor. People fail to realize your hardwood floors reflect onto your walls. Okay. We also have, and it's third party, you do have to purchase them also, Sample Eyes. Those are peel and stick samples, which if you don't want to get your hands messy, get a peel and stick and put that on the foam core. But some people just like to put it on the walls anyway. That's available to you. And of course, color cards and color combinations. One of the other great things when we upgraded our website is if you're looking at a color and you're trying to figure out what colors may go with it, if you go onto the website and you type in 318 and you scroll down, it's going to give you colors that are going to work well with it. Colors that are very similar to it. It gives you the monochromatic going from lightest to darkest. So you have a way to go and look, you pick this yellow, you're looking at it, it's too bright. How do I tone it down? And you also have the lighting capability on the website, which you can move from daylight to cool light, blue light, which is like the coolest, which really can hurt colors. If you're at home, try it because it's really a very cool tool as you can change the way morning, noon, and night and how that color is going to shift. There's the website. We did our little digital color tools. You saw that. Biggest thing today, if you want to change the color of your space, change your light bulb. Many of you here are very familiar with that beautiful incandescent bulb that we grew up with that is not allowed anymore. Okay, we've gone into LEDs, halogens. I can remember when I bought my first house in 2007 and my brother's contractor said to me, Di, you've got to use energy efficient light bulbs. It'll help keep the cost down. Yeah, well, I had just done my living room in a lot of warm colors and that blue light just whipped the color out of it. I was like, can't paint again. So you want to pay attention. It's no longer what watt is it, because you know the incandescent was going to give you what cast. What kind of cast did that incandescent light bulb give you? Yellow? A warmer yellow cast. Okay, when you look at that light up there, just look at it.
Daylight.
What color does it look like?
Daylight.
Yeah.
Blue.
It has a bluer cast, a bluer undertone. So when you pick up light bulbs, you see this on the light bulbs now. So that you can, it's all based on the Kelvin scale. If you're looking for a warmer light for that space, which way are we gonna go? Sunrise and candle flame, so like a 2,000 to 3,000 Kelvin light bulb? Or if you want that blue sky, really kind of blue light, you're gonna go higher in that Kelvin scale. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind. The light bulb really can affect the way that color appears too. This is just, an example. Illuminant metameric failure. So when we talk about how light affects color, that really beautiful word of the day is called metamerism. Okay, but there's all different types of metamerism. And one of them is actually metameric failure. How many of you have ever picked up a color chip in the store, said, I want this, and had them make it, and when you get it on a larger space, it doesn't look the same as what that chip was? You ever had that problem? Okay. But if you put a little on the chip, it actually matches it. That has to do with the size. Remember when I said to you, if you can't pick a color, it's so difficult to pick a color off a chip this size. Well, the next one is that great consumer that goes into the Benjamin Moore store, picks up the chip, and then heads to Home Depot to have the color made. This is illuminant metameric failure because Benjamin Moore makes their own colorants that go into the paint. They are different from every other manufacturer. So what they're doing is trying to match the color as best as possible with the colorants that they have in their store. Now, under the lighting in that Home Depot store, you may accept it. But when you get it home and put it on your walls, it doesn't look anything like it. And if you put it onto the chip and actually really dry it down, they don't match. And ironically, do you know what colors are the worst to try and match? Whites and off-whites, because they use the least amount of colorant. They don't have that much wiggle room to play with it. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Actually, many of the commercials you're seeing on TV today is the unmatchable. Because it's telling you right then and there, if you want a Benjamin Moore color, use Benjamin Moore paint. Sheens, gloss. The beautiful thing is we show it to you very nicely in front of the fan decks, and the stores have these on their shelves. Where am I going? So everyone knows you have dead flat, right? And then we would move into what they call a matte finish. Back in the 90s, matte came out because people wanted a washable flat. Then we went to eggshell and a pearl satin, semi-gloss, high gloss. Okay, where do we use it? What's best for the situation? A true dead flat. Where would you use it?
Walls, ceiling.
Walls? Walls where?
Every contractor painted their house like dead flat.
Yes, they
Hides
did.
everything.
Exactly. And they generally do it and don't prime.
Yes.
So that when you buy that house and you want to put an eggshell on the wall, it sucks the life out of it and you get flat again. Except where the spackle marks are. Then you might get an eggshell. Okay? But a true dead flat is generally designed, yes, for the ceilings, where nobody's really touching it, where you're not going to need to wash it. But it is true. New construction, that's what they put on. They put painter's grade dead flat on those walls, and good luck after you move in. Okay? A mat, like I said, you can wash it. Okay? I love when people say, can I scrub it? You want to define scrubbing, please? Washable mat means soft cloth, sponge, Dawn, 409, something of that, to take fingerprints and stuff off. Eggshell, to look straight on. It looks like a flat finish, but on an angle it has a slight luster to it, especially if it's near windows where the sunlight may come across it. Very pretty. A lot of people may like that also. So that's a good wall finish. Then we step up into the pearl and satin area. Generally, I would recommend these usually in kitchens, you know, that may have like little children. That, you know, the spaghetti goes to the wall. You need to be able to have some stain resistance and washability. Bathrooms where there's showers, you need that form of a gloss or higher on those walls from the moisture from the showers sitting on the spaces on the walls. We also have semi-gloss and high gloss. Okay, we talked earlier about what happens if you do high gloss on the wall and what to be careful of and what you need to do first. A lot of times the semi-gloss and high gloss are used on your doors and your trim. Okay, or architectural details that you want highlighted. Okay, now the higher we go in gloss and sheen, the more washable that surface becomes, the harder it is to touch up. So if you nick it and you have to try and touch it up, you're probably going to have to do natural break to natural break because you're going to see it. And the more those imperfections are being highlighted when you go to the higher glosses. And just a little bit about the portfolio. When I talk about bathrooms, the only matte finish you can use in a bathroom is Aura Bath and Spa. Okay, it's a beautiful matte finish that is resistant to the humidity. So if you've got more of those duller finished tiles and you don't want to put something with a gloss on the walls, you have the option of that Aura Bath and Spa for the ceilings and the walls. Advance. A waterborne alkyd. What does that mean? Yes, oil and water put together in a can. For those of you who remember Satin and Pervo and you did your trim in all oil-based paints, you're no longer allowed to do that anymore. It's against the EPA's regulations. So Advance came out probably 6 or 7 years ago now and is a beautiful trim and cabinetry product as far as being able to flow and level nicely and give you that sort of glass-like finish that Satin and Pervo used to do on your trim. And with the oil in it, it actually gives us a little bit of a harder finish than a latex, which by nature, latex is a softer paint film than an oil. Oil was always a very hard finish. Ceiling paint, Regal has been our bread and butter since we introduced latex paints. So if you're not familiar or if you have questions, any one of your Benjamin Moore retailers will be able to talk to you about the pros and cons of any of these products based on the project that you're doing. And at this point I say thank you. I hope everybody walked away with a little bit of knowledge and enjoyed the presentation. You've all got the Benjamin Moore favorites. Pretty good neutrals you could use anywhere, and a color handbook to try and help you with your choices of color and things like that.
Any questions? No, we're gonna pull the raffle, but that was great. Colors evoke emotions. And
Yes.
so, you know, you go into hospitals, doctors' offices, traditionally they're blue and green, keep everyone calm. But then in the dining room, you want the reds.
When you go to an Italian restaurant, the walls are painted red to make you eat more. Don't paint your kitchen red if you're going on a diet. Don't do it.
But now we see in the doctor's offices, and especially for the children, they're putting primary colors.
Yes.
They're putting a lot of color, so that's great. So now we're gonna pick somebody to win the set that she
The
has.
set of Yandex.
And Perry's gonna pick it.
Debbie Housechild.
Alright.
3,500 colors for
You're
the
going
neutral
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
If anybody has any questions, Diane is gonna be
That's
there.
right. Now we know where to
Please
go.
eat.
Yeah, right.
We have plenty of lunch here.